Nope, there now. It's 7:05. I call the September 17th meeting to order. Roll call.
Bennett.
I'm here.
Bertolo.
Here.
Lane.
Here.
Neely.
Here.
Finney.
Here.
Pateki.
Here.
Matthews.
Here, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the annual schedule of regular meetings, herefore adopted and posted on the public bulletin board at the municipal building, emailed to the Hawthorne Press, the Herald News, the Record, the Gazette, and all persons who requested the mailing of such schedule. A copy of said schedules remained in file in the office of the Borough Clerk from and since December 7, 2017. Approval of the minutes. Can I have approval of the minutes for a regular meeting of September 5, 2018?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Bertolo, second by Witecki. Any discussion? Roll call.
Pateki.
Yes.
Finney.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Bertolo.
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public comment. I'll now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address. Seeing none, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bertolo, second by Sitting. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Adoption of ordinances. We have none tonight. Old business. Joe, we'll start your way.
I have nothing.
Gary.
I have nothing.
John.
Nothing.
Bruce.
Nope. Nope.
John.
I got new.
What?
Okay. No old. We'll start new. John.
Oh, thank you. Eric, could you ask our inspectors to please go back to Goffel and Ray? The trash is literally flowing out of the dumpster. And also when it will be emptied and when the wall will be fixed?
Yeah, again, I don't know that they, unless the property owner has told them, they may not know when. All they can do, as you know, is issue the notice and the summons. They try to talk to them, and if they've given them a time frame, I'll get it to you. If not,
Okay, but the dumpster, I mean, should have been emptied when you and I spoke a week ago or so, whatever.
I know they were on it, but again, they can tell the property owner to
I
do
understand.
it. They can't.
I understand. The other thing is, Mayor, when are they supposed to close up because they're not selling gas anymore?
The letter went to them that as soon as they start to pull the tanks, they're closed. And they're
But
supposed to pull the tanks
Wasn't it
this
supposed
month.
to be sometime in September?
Yeah, they're supposed to pull the tanks this month, so I
Yeah,
Okay.
planning board discussed it at the last planning board meeting, and they basically said, time's up.
Also, can you have them go down where the old International Bakery is? I passed there today. There's paper debris and debris just around the fence, on the fence. Just, it looks terrible. Absolutely terrible. And it coming into Hawthorne. And do we have, or do you have any ideas maybe when they're going to start any work there or anything? Because I think they did get their approval.
Yeah, they're all approved, and I think their financing is in place, so I would assume they would start sooner rather than later.
Okay. All right. That's all I have, Frank.
All right, Frank.
Bruce? No. John?
I'm good.
Gary? John?
Nothing.
Joe? Okay. Turning to the administrative agenda presented by Mayor Goldberg. Mayor, the floor is
Thank you,
yours.
Council President. Excuse me. The 9/11 service last Tuesday evening was a moving tribute to those who perished on 9/11 and our first responders. Despite the iffy weather and losing many of our first responders to multiple car accidents, it was truly a memorable night. On Wednesday, the 12th, the borough dedicated a memorial bench for Lieutenant Dominic J. Tatino, who was a POW in Germany for almost 2 years, and lived out the rest of his life at Hawthorne in a veterans nursing home. We are pleased to honor his memory with the bench, and I know it made his family extremely grateful and happy that we were marking his his service to our country.
Is it out front?
It's out front, slightly to the right.
Nice.
Last night's Fight for Autism 3 was a great night for a great cause. Thanks to everyone who came out to support the event, and I'm sure my band shell chairman will have a more detailed report about that.
I do.
The Divert Candlelight Vigil is scheduled for 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, the 26th at Borough Hall. The Taste of Hawthorne is Tuesday, October 2nd. See a Rotary member for tickets, and tickets are also available in my office. This Saturday is the 10th annual Hawthorne Day event. Begins at 12 noon and ends with fireworks at dark. I can't wait to see all of you at Hawthorne Day. Come up, say hello, and if you have complaints about the council, tell them, don't tell me. Not that anybody would have complaints about the council. So much for ad lib.
Nice try. Stick to the script.
Stick to the script. Yeah, it wasn't on my paper.
The return of Shecky Green.
There you go. I'm Bob Hope's brother, No Hope, I think. All right, at this time, I call upon my borough attorney, Michael Pasquale, for his report.
Should I say a tough act to follow or not so much?
It's all downhill
That's
from
what I'm
here.
thinking. I can only go up, right? Let me first report on one matter of business, the litigation with regard to affordable housing. Last Monday, we were here for a meeting. Christine Cafone, our special master, was here, as well as an attorney, and David Kinsey made a return to Hawthorne. He now is the planner for the Bedrin organization, the owners of 204 WAG, and their attorney was here. Also here was an attorney named Josh Bowers, who was with a group called the Fair Share Housing Center. Fair Share Housing Center is involved in every litigation in every community in not just Hawthorne, but throughout the state with regard to affordable housing. We had some really very productive talks with Josh in particular, and their position is they want to just see that we are complying, but they also recognize. He drove the town, he walked some of the streets and says, you don't have a lot of land here, do you? And so they recognize that. So his proposal has actually been very reasonable, and we think we can work with Josh. The Bedrin organization is proving, as you would imagine, a little more difficult to work with, but we are trying. Today I was in court before Judge Brogan, and Judge Brogan extended everything till November 8th to give us additional time to try to negotiate a settlement with all parties. If we cannot reach a settlement with the Bedrin organization, we will go ahead without them. We tried, but it's been difficult.
Tom Brogan should walk with Josh and look at the town instead of doing a drive-by.
Well, in this case, I will tell you that Judge Brogan has made it very clear. He says, look, I recognize that Kohler left town once before because of neighborhood pressures, came back, invested a huge amount of money in this town in an industrial zone. And he says this very clearly, and therefore has a vested interest in protecting, as does the town. He recognizes we have a compost set. He recognizes we have a pistol range. So he's very cognizant of the fact that this property is different from other properties. The property I know you refer to, in fairness, is in a largely residential zone. This one is in an all-industrial zone. And so he's been very aware of the property, which is good. So we'll see what happens. But in any event, we're moving along with that. And again, we'll continue to do what's best for Hawthorne, regardless of who the players are. That's the only legal matter that came up in the last 10 days since we met of any consequence. So I do want to report on last night's bandshell event. A lot of you were there last night, and I appreciate that. Mayor, you were there, I know. And it was just a fantastic night. We put on a show that really was well received by everyone. We had about 400 people, a lot less than last year's event, but it was still a very enthusiastic crowd. They just participated in everything. What really made it special was the kids stole the show. We had 19 volunteer musicians, all graduates of Hawthorne High School, or in some cases, students at Hawthorne High School.
Yeah, they attended the school, but may not have graduated.
There was a couple questionable ones, but we're not positive. But pretty much we think they all graduated, came really close. And last night was great because we had the Palouse children who were just phenomenal. Anthony and Bella just stepped into the role of a lead singer and was fantastic. They were great. Anthony Lamone, a high school senior, played phenomenal guitar, and then our own Erin Foley, Lori's daughter, sang an Adele song that would have made Adele happy. So she really killed it. The show was phenomenal, and the cause was great. We raised $3,300 but more than that, we raise awareness. Awareness for the fact that autism afflicts all of our families. Everybody knows somebody or has somebody in their family on the spectrum, and in all different degrees. So it was really a great night for Hawthorne. So I want to thank, first of all, the Bandshell Committee, and I do want to mention them by name because it's the last Bandshell report of the season, I'm afraid. I did want to mention, and I want to read it so I make sure I miss nobody. But the Bandshell Committee this year was Ellen Brogno, Jean Mealy, Joan Hervey, Lori Foley, Lisa Sloopmaker, Nancy Agnello, Frank Riley, Joe Carr, my brother John Pasquale, Richard Schneideker, Wally Maziak, and our shadow committee, Dominic Mealy and Lori DeBella, who are not on the official committee. They are their own shadow group. We had phenomenal support from our committee, our police, our DPW, great supporters, as was the mayor and council. And I do want to recognize last night's musicians, please, because they deserve a shout out. Our singers were Terry Civilella, Tammy Moore, George Toji, Jeff Marizzo, Vera Gatto, Bella Palouse, and Erin Foley. Our guitar players were Brendan Anthony, Steve Seitzma, Jimmy Clegg, Anthony Lamone, and Mark Sloopmaker. Rich Tanis, Bob Lamb, and John Henderson played bass. Pete Tanis played keyboards. And then our drummers were John Warnett, Rick Merchant, and of course Anthony Palouse. So we had a great time. Flavio Romeo was there. Helen's not a Hawthorne High School grad, but we had a violin player, which was a really nice touch on a couple of songs. And Flavio Romeo acted as an MC. That's your neighbor there, and class
Former
of
neighbor.
1980. Former neighbor. Flavio's a great guy.
Yep.
And we shared the MC duties last night.
He actually did a much better job than the past MCs.
Let me think.
Let me think.
Year one was me. I was
Flavio's a
co-MC this year.
Yeah.
Wait, last year I had Constantine Maroulis. He did okay, right?
he did.
He was all right. But Flavio was terrific. And again, thank you to everybody who came out. It was a special night. And we're really so proud of the kids in particular. I couldn't be happier. So thank you for your support.
No Blondie songs last night?
We did a Blondie song. We did Call Me.
Okay.
So.
And just as a reminder, we're having a Deborah Harry lookalike contest at Hawthorne Day at 4 o'clock. Sign-ups are that afternoon, so a chance to look like Hawthorne's famous Deborah Harry.
Yes.
Speaking of Deborah Harry, we have Borough Engineer Stephen T. Boswell.
Thank you for that segue, Mayor. Arlington Avenue, we met with Marini Brothers on Thursday. We're finishing it. We've reviewed and agreed to as-built quantities, so we'll close that job out at the next meeting. Bandshell bathrooms, as you probably know, there's a couple of holes in the door frame. The architect has told, it's not Puntanesca, but that's close. You know, that's the sauce.
Yeah, that's a sauce, right?
He's told them how to resolve it by plugging the holes, so that should be done shortly, and that'll be completed. We've gotten quotes from both Montone and Ruta for the revised ADA viewing pathway, and we'll get those to the DPW committee shortly. DPW building I'm going to come back to because there's a few details I just want to fill in. The Goffle Hill storage tank, as part of the Mary Street tank, we're doing drainage improvements at Goffle Hill, and we are having a pre-construction meeting for the Mary Street tank on Thursday, the 20th at 11 o'clock here, so that'll take care of both of those projects. And we have finished the delineation of the lead contamination at the Goffle Hill tank, and we're working on a cost to remediate, and we'll have that to you next meeting. 2017 road program, quantities have been agreed upon, the final payment documents are being prepared, and we're just waiting for the maintenance bond. And just for Councilman Witecki, both the 2017 and 18, both Elberon and Cedar Elberon, we've already contacted the contractor, told them to replace several of the driveway aprons. You know, it's always a battle because they call it salt damage, but we'll win the battle. And on the Cedar Ave drainage, it runs fine while it's raining, but the question is what happens when it stops raining? Does it puddle? So Alex looked at it in the rain, now he's going to come back after the rain. So we're still on it, but we don't have any resolution yet. Municipal pool, there were some additional punch list items that came up, which he's going to have to address before we close that out. And Lafayette Ave streetscape, we've gotten 2 costs already, and we're getting more to try and get that down to a much more reasonable number. We're comfortable it will be much more acceptable to the borough once we have it done. The Pano Roofing completed the roof replacements on the Mary Street pumps 1, 2, and 3 building, And the Wagwell Road sewage pumping station, work continues this week. They'll be doing the remaining south water station structures. So he's moving along pretty nicely. Now, while I'm talking about roofs, Dominic, there's good news and bad news about the library, okay? The good news is that none of the roof that's been replaced is leaking. The bad news is there's a piece of roof that hasn't been replaced yet. It's the last piece that hasn't been fixed, and we'll get a price for that. And we talked to the library director about it. She's aware of what's going on. It's one small section. It's the only one left.
How much could be left in that roof?
Right, there isn't much. There isn't much, and that's the only part that's leaking. They checked every piece of the new roof, and it's all fine. It's only this one piece that was never replaced.
Is it a big job?
No, it shouldn't be a big job.
Only
But we're
leaks when
hoping
it
so.
rains, though.
Right. Wire Road tennis courts, we did give you our proposal for doing the design, and we will put pickleball in addition to tennis on those when we do those. Arlington Avenue, which is our Phase 2, our municipal aid application, that has, you've done what you have to do, which is the authorizing resolution. We'll submit that on SAGE. It'll all be submitted on time. I think October 6th was the deadline. And Washington Avenue drainage improvements, we've given all the information to your grant writer in terms of getting that for Phase 2. That's improving the culvert underneath there. And finally, DPW building, it is moving along. If you've been there now, it's dramatically improved because we now have the floor poured. And the DPW committee and I are going to meet and discuss the details. We're going to pull the resolution for change order 5 off tonight because we didn't have enough time to get you the information. We worked as fast as we could, but the contractor is not going to slow down his work. He's going to keep working, so we're still moving along. That date is still good that we gave him to November, whatever that date was, 11th, I think it was. He's already begun the mechanical installations inside. If you've been over there, it looks dramatically different now. We just have to get the last part of the skin on. I'll just tell you, we are doing a job that is better than what the building manufacturer thinks it should be. And by that I mean, you notice the one corner doesn't have any skin on it yet. The reason it doesn't have any skin is because the manufacturer of the building believes you can put a door in there and you only have to have the skin to hold it up. We don't agree. So we've ordered 2 custom pieces of steel to go in there to support that properly so that when they open and close the door, it doesn't rip the skin off the building. And also, just to let you know, I think that the building is dramatically better than our original design. Our original design had stepped floor inside, so you'd come down, then you down another, which would have been difficult operationally. Well, we raised one side of the floor, held the other side, raised it up, and that gave us actually 2 things. Number one, you now have one elevation across the whole floor, across all 6 garages, and the floor now meets the old building right at the same grade. So it's actually a much better solution. It was harder to implement because it involved more grading outside, but it was the right thing to do. And I will.
Because you had an architect involved.
Should have. You're probably right. And actually, slant.
The architect on the committee was one of the guys that suggested that.
And we agree with you.
Yeah.
We agree with you. See, it took us a while, but we agreed with you. That was all right. It turned out it meant doing much more grading outside, but it was worth doing to make it work. So, and then the last thing, I guess that's it, Mayor. I'll answer any questions, but I'm going to fill in the committee about the change order number 5 with some more detail, so you know what it all is, because it's a larger amount than the others. But I'll just tell you this, that overall, the change orders will be well under 10% for the whole job, even with the new one. So things happen with buildings. But I'll just tell you one of them, that they gave us a design, Rhino, which said that they were going to take downspouts on the 4 corners of the building. So we designed, gutters along the front and back. We designed to pick up the 2 downspouts, pick them each up, and then take it back to the stream. Well, when the building came, it had 14 downspouts, not 4, and they ran across the whole front and back of the building. So now you have to run a pipe along the front and the back to pick up the drainage that comes down. Those are the kind of things that they just happen. So the important thing is we're going to give you a product that's going to last 50 years, and that's what we're working on. But there are some idiosyncratic things when it comes to buildings. And one of the other things, just to let you know, and just to tell you, we're pushing as hard as we can on your behalf all the time. One of the things that we changed, when the floor didn't step anymore, he had already installed the headers for the doors, and they were all at 14 feet clear. So now when the floor doesn't step down, now they're not going to be 14, they're going to be 13.10, 13.8, 13.6 going across. So we had to raise those headers. Well, they originally gave us a price to raise 5 headers of $15,000. I think we got it down to 1,000 or 2,000, whatever it was. You know, we got a reasonable number in the end. It was the right thing to do, just cost a few more dollars. So other than that, Mayor, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, and I know Councilman Wachecki has to go. Borough Attorney has asked for a rebuttal with this.
Yeah, I have to rebut some of what, no, I'm not rebutting anything Steve said. I did, a couple of things I did want to point out too. One of the things that I did not mention is that the bandshell bathrooms, you know, we built these bathrooms, we call them the bandshell bathrooms, but yesterday, I don't think we realized how much use of that area is made by the Cubs cheerleaders, our cheerleading squads in practice and everything. Yesterday, I opened up the bathrooms, and the girls from both the opposing and the Cubs cheerleaders were so thrilled to be able to get a place to go in and freshen up and whatever before the games. Our cheerleaders practice there all of August. They're there 3 nights a week. So these bathrooms are going to have use far beyond the handful of times that we have bandshell events, Hawthorne Day and the like. There's a great usage and demand. Eric and I had a meeting about that today, about how do we make sure that these bathrooms are made available to our Cubs group, our cheerleaders and the like, and our recreation group. So there's going to be a lot more use than we expected. So this is a really good thing. Second thing is I wanted to thank Fire Company number 1 for letting us use their facility gratis. We had about 8 rehearsals before the Fight for Autism concert. So thank you to Fire Company number 1. And happy birthday, Steve Boswell.
Thank you.
What, last week?
No, a week from today.
A week from today, okay. I want to make sure we got that in there.
And by the way, on the bathrooms, since you brought it up, Michael, one thing I think you'll all be very pleased with, if you remember, we looked at prefabricated bathrooms first, and then we found out cost. Well, they just put one in another town where we're not the engineer, and the prefabricated one looks pretty nice. I don't think it looks any better than ours. In fact, I think ours looks a little better, and it was $300,000. That's the same thing. 1 male, 1 female, and doesn't have a changing room, just the one. So they're a lot of money.
All right, and the last word on the bathrooms, the borough is changing the locks on the bathrooms to make them more user-friendly, and we're changing out the locks because when someone will go into the bathroom, lock the door, then leave, then the door will lock behind them. We're now putting in deadbolts. It'll be like an airplane. They'll say occupied, and the door will always be open, but can be locked from the outside. So
It was changing the latch sets as well?
yes, I believe so.
Yeah, they were just not working. I was unlocking the doors all night long.
Don't the doors unlock when you open
The
them?
lock doesn't
Not
pop.
always. It's a twist and pop.
they were designed
It's
to
not
do
a
that.
They
pop.
put the wrong ones in.
They put the wrong ones in, but
They should have been just simple pop
we
out.
got it a quote. We've signed the purchase order, and I hope that it'll be done before Hawthorne Day. Otherwise, Michael, you'll
I'll
stay
be
there and
standing there with the
unlock.
key master. And of course, I have 3 separate keys for 3 separate locks, which is just silly.
It's
So
all going to be
we're
one
going to fix
key,
that.
and we're rekeying your dressing room also to the same
Yeah.
key.
So
Now that we've talked bathrooms to death, what could follow that more but my administrator, Eric Maurer, with his report?
Very brief tonight. Your borough clerk and I are working with our website provider to do an app that will go along with it. We got the first picture of the design today. We will be critiquing that and having them make any appropriate revisions so that we're hoping by October we will be live with that. So we have the Lori Foley is working on our note sale. We'll be paying off the notes we issued last year, plus issuing notes for the bond ordinances we approved this year, except if you recall, we had $1 million of last year's notes that we're paying off out of this year's budget, so to keep down the total amount that we ultimately will be bonding. And that, I think the sale is later this week, and we will then close before those notes are due at the end of this month, and we'll have a report for you on rates we got by our next council meeting. On your agenda tonight is Resolution R-159-18. That's to approve our amended Borough Employee Handbook. I have a memo in the packet explaining what those changes are. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have them. And finally, all of our union contracts expire at the end of this year. We're gearing up for negotiations. Some of the unions have requested some information that we will provide to them so we'll have a basis for the negotiations. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. I will say that I checked my subscriber list, and none of you have yet to subscribe to the blog. Steve, you work for me. I would have thought you would have subscribed at least.
I told somebody to.
Okay, just checking.
We don't need to read the same bad jokes you tell in public.
Or maybe you do.
We hired 2 more editors, though.
What is it, up to 4 now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
4
now
editors.
it's Rand McNally is
Yeah.
doing my editing. Council President, we'll be happy to answer any question.
Gary, any questions?
I saw the paper this past week or so. I know you have something in there about the, I know it's Glen Rock had a problem, they opened their Facebook accounts. And I guess the judge ruled they could, but another local town this past week
Ruled against it.
ruled just the
Right.
opposite.
The difference was
Totally different thing.
is that one was a campaign page used by the candidates who were running for office. The other one was a borough Facebook page that the council was using to exchange information. And the fact that they excluded some people is what caused them in Glen Rock to Oprah, and the judge correctly, I think, agreed with them. We've often warned people about public posts, and they were not inconsistent, the 2 decisions. I think they were pretty much consistent with what's right and what's wrong.
That's why.
John?
More of a comment. September's Recreation Magazine has an article about the benefit of pickleball for senior citizens. Talks about pickleball enables older adults to maintain their fitness levels, leading to increased independence even as they age. So it was a whole article.
So the winner gets a dill pickle when they're John, that's done. John, that's the big paddles they use, the big paddles?
No, it's a
No,
smaller
that big.
game.
I saw that on the
It's
ship.
like ping pong on,
On a tennis court. It shortens up. In fact, Helen Pasquale would love to give you lessons. She's an expert at it.
Okay.
One of her favorite games.
I know my brother-in-law is the, I guess, the president of the association, of his condo association, which is huge. It's like, it's down in Somerset County. And they just converted all their courses, because they have a bunch of them, they converted them all so they can use them both of them.
Yeah, regular tennis is just too difficult for a lot of people. Pickleball is a lot easier. It's
Yeah.
still fitness, but it's not the level of exertion that tennis.
I always thought
my
racquetball
mother's
was
court
created for
coverage
the lazy
is,
tennis
yeah.
player, because the ball stays
gone a step further.
stays inside.
Right.
Yeah, you know, you chase the ball. The
Yeah.
other thing, at some point, you'll have a pool report, annual pool report for us. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
John?
Yes. Eric, I believe the governor passed a law last week or the week before, or maybe couple weeks prior, about sick leave. Are we doing anything about that for the employees?
It was actually earlier this year that mandatory sick leave and actually leave for certain other purposes like child school conferences and some other things. Basically, our new handbook, which we're putting out, incorporates provisions to allow us to comply with the law. Existing employees do have paid leave that they can use. In addition to their sick leave, they can use their vacation or personal leave for it. Employees that previously haven't had paid sick leave because they were below 20 hours per week now will be entitled to accumulate sick time. And so we're complying with that law.
How are we going to, or how are you going to present it to us as far as the part-time employees with regard to how many hours they work versus how many hours of sick leave do they get?
It's a
Yeah,
cumulative thing.
it's
No,
based,
I know, but I just,
it's based on the number of hours they work. It's 1 hour for every so many hours they work. I forget what the
It's 1
exact
to 40.
formula.
for every, I think it's 30 hours
Yeah.
for every,
They get
after if they work 30 hours, they get one hour sick,
Right.
1 day, 1 hour sick
Right,
leave.
correct. And
Okay.
so we will accumulate that and, and so that we make sure we comply. People have to work, a certain number, and it's effective October 1st. So as of October 1st, these employees who previously didn't have sick time will start accumulating it. And then they have to be employed for 90 days before they can take it. And we just need to comply. It's a law.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. Okay. The other question that I have is, Steve, I don't know if Councilman Wotecki brought it up with regard to Elbron Ave, but I was told that at one time when they were pouring the curbs, there's still a chunk of concrete laying in the street someplace. I'm not sure in front of which house, but I'll find out for you.
Hey, let me know.
And then,
I hadn't heard that one.
yeah, I just heard it over the weekend. And the other question the other statement that I have is based on what the mayor said. Hawthorne, I don't think has had anything the way we had last Tuesday night as far as the number of emergency calls. And I'll tell you, as a councilman, I'm very proud of our police, fire, and ambulance corps because and they were both 2 serious accidents. And let me tell you, everybody worked together. It was just, if you videotaped it, it would be something that you'd want to show to a classroom because everybody worked together, and it was phenomenal how everything worked out. And luckily, the people are okay, as far as I know. But it was just all 3 emergency services did a fantastic job. Let's see what else. That's it, Frank.
Okay. Steve, when is the band shell going to be totally buttoned down? When are they going to be installing the signage board? I know the first one came in damaged. When's that going to be completed?
Came in today.
Yeah, I think Eric's handling that.
Yeah, it came in today, and we will be installing it. They suggested we open it down there, because I guess they were.
Why are we
concerned-
installing it? It was part of the package.
No,
No, it
no,
wasn't.
we specifically, we allowed for it, but we wanted to buy it ourselves because he was gonna just add to the price. So that we put the place in for it, but the town was gonna install. I think that was the original. If I'm wrong, I'll check that.
I
but
believe that's the case.
I think that's the case. I think the town decided not to have the contractor install the sign, just to save some money.
You need to have a licensed electrician install it. Okay, didn't know that. Michael, you sent us a memo regarding the discharge of the Highview matter.
Yes.
How the heck could any court find that document that you sent us legal? Everything was wrong on it and hand crossed off with the correct answers.
Well, I'm sorry.
There was also words on there that.
Oh, no. What the judge did was he rendered a decision on the record.
Yeah, but then he did it.
Then he took the order that was submitted by Highview saying,
That it was in their
yes,
favor.
yes, and he crossed out yes and wrote the word deny, or no, or
Yeah,
whatever.
everything was the opposite, but
So-
there was handwritten items that I couldn't read in the
Oh.
memo you sent us.
That's the judge's writing,
That's
so
common.
he's now retired, I will take it up
No,
with
but,
him.
no, there were things that he wrote that I wanted to know what he wrote on there.
Okay, I can,
You might be able to read it on your
I
original, but it didn't.
can, right,
You can
I'll,
read attorney.
I read legalese.
Scratch.
I read attorney.
Yeah, I will
First that attorney.
take a look at it and
I think the second comment basically
translate
said that
it.
Hawthorne's responsible for maintaining it. I
No,
understood that
the-
one.
what it was
But
was
the
the
first
issue was-
comment, I couldn't understand.
Okay, the issue was the question as to whether or not Hawthorne is responsible to maintain that portion of the road is reserved and sent to the law division. That's basically what it says.
That's what it said, okay.
Yeah, I mean, paraphrasing it. So I will try to give you an exact translation of it later.
Got it. That's
If
all
I can
had.
get it on my phone and I can borrow somebody's glasses, I could probably do it.
Fair enough. Any other questions? Mayor, anything else?
That concludes the report of the administration.
Okay, can I have a motion to record the administrative agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Bertolo, second by Bennett. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Introduction of ordinances, we have none. We have resolutions. We have consent agenda R-152-18 through R-160, through 159-18. We're scratching 160. 152-18 is a Borough of Hawthorne payroll dated September 14, 2018. R-153-18 is the payment of school taxes. R-154-18 is exempt status for Block 99, Lot 28. R-155-18 is redeemed tax sale certificate, number 17-0005. R-156-18, redeemed sales tax certificate, number 16-0002. R-157-18, authorized grant application to HDSRF for site remediation. R-158-18, extend shared service agreement with Fair Lawn for fire apparatus maintenance and repair. And R-159-18 is to approve the amended Borough Employee Handbook. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lane, second by Sitting. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bennett,
Yes.
Vitolo,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Neely,
Yes.
Sitting.
Yes,
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Reports of special council committees. Gary, we'll start your way.
I have nothing, but I would like, I think the ordinance committee should meet on some of the things we've been kind of putting on the side while we're doing all the stuff on the zoning. I was looking at the calendar, there's not much in September, we've got so many different things, but maybe early in October, we'll try to get the first week or so of October, because we got, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm gonna be away for a few days this week, and next week, I think, there's 3 nights in we got something, so,
Pick a date and let us know.
yeah.
You want to do October 2? You want to just get it right off?
It's Taste of Hawthorne.
Is it Taste of Hawthorne?
Yeah.
All right.
Just a little bit.
What,
That's October, that's,
Second, October 2nd.
you want to go the next week, the 9th?
We can go to the 9th. Well, we have a fundraiser at 6 o'clock.
this time of
Hey,
year.
let's
it's
back it up,
crazy.
but we will let you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
take some dates.
good idea.
Yeah.
Just thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah, I was looking at, September and October, it's just like every night, somebody's got something.
John?
We had a finance meeting today, Eric, and I think we talked about everything that we cover anyway, but I'll take this opportunity to thank Michael and the band shell committee and all involved in the band shell. I think after our 3rd season, it's very evident by the numbers we get, by the people that come down there, and a very diverse crowd. It's not we have some groupies,
Same groups.
but it's different people for different bands, different nights. I think a tremendous investment on our part, and I know we took some heat from some people about what a bad idea it was and what a bad location it is. But I think after seeing another successful year and what a great investment in the borough, and I think last night's performance, brought tears to my eyes. Some of the kids, the talent that they show at such a young age and the poise, to get in front of 400 people and not be phased at all. It's we got great things going on in this community, so we should all be proud, and especially the group. I only see this getting bigger and better, and I think next year's event, there were people in the crowd. Cuts knew a couple of them that had bands and said, how do we get into this gig, And Cuts said, I think it's all Hawthorne people. And he said, well, I come to Hawthorne all the time, so who do I have to talk to? And so I think it's only going to get bigger
Tell
and
me
bigger.
you had a guy?
I think it'll be good. I got a guy. I know somebody.
guy.
Yeah, but without a doubt, the last night was the greatest event that we had down there, and I think the goal next year is to make it even better. So congratulations, and that's all I have to report.
Good report. Bruce?
Yes, the Board of Rec met last Wednesday, and the Mayor's Halloween Parade is scheduled for Tuesday, October the 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Roosevelt School. And certification program for new coaches is going on this evening as we speak. So if anyone was hoping to coach this year and you're watching this instead of being there, better luck next year. That's all I have to report.
I'm okay.
I'm good, Frank.
Okay, the Chamber of Commerce, they want to thank everyone who attended the Green Fair at the Farmers Market on Sunday. And the annual fishing derby will be held on September 29th from 8:30 to 11th. It's a couple weeks later than our normal week, and that's for children up to the age of 16. Dominic, you can't fish.
You can play pickleball.
You can play pickleball.
Thank you.
That's all I have. And planning board meeting coming up on the 25th is the Della Bono project. So anyone interested in seeing the Royal Ave development that's been talked about, that's the start of the formal hearing. The mayor will not be there because of a conflict, and a couple other planning board members won't be there because there's a little bit of conflict. All right, correspondence, we have none, but we have bills. Have a motion to approve the bills and forward them to the treasurer for payment. Motion by Mealy, second by Bertolo. Any discussion? Roll call.
Sinning.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Lane.
Abstain on the fire department and the ambulance corps, yes on all others.
Bertolo.
Abstain on Downs Tree Service, yes on all others.
Bennett.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes. Public comment, and I'll open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, come forward to the microphone, state your name and address. Seeing no one, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting. Motion by Bertolo, second by Lane. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Bertolo, second by Bennett. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. The next regular meeting of the municipal council is Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018 at 7 p.m. We're adjourned.
Difference.
I voted with a majority in it.
I think that might be.